Oh, greetings there, Blade fans. What is this? You thought this was going to be about another knife, and what the heck is an 8015 doing out there? Well, it's all about perspective. This is large knife night. Here's another large knife. The Goliath by Max Ace. It pretty much dwarfs the somewhat large AD-15. Well, let's see if we can get out a little bit further while showing you a clean background. Are you ready? Need some Space Odyssey 2000 music playing. Dum, 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 da-da. There, my friends, is a knife. Yes. The Bastinelli Big Dragotac. What a knife. Let's make some room for it, shall we? The Goliath, too, is supposed to be a large knife. And yet, it is large at over 4 inches. But this Dragotac is humongous. And I want to thank my good friend, the Knife Junkie, Bob Demarco, for loaning his pride and joy out to me here. I know this knife is near and dear to him. You've seen him show it now and then on his channel. Yes, there is the Dragotac, the compact Dragotac, and the big Dragotac. We're going to get into some measurements shortly, but just look at that beast, will you? My God, and it's a beautiful knife. I was expecting to be impressed when I knew that Bob had loaned this out to me. It came in the mail today, faster than I thought, and certainly bigger than I thought. It is the big Dragotac. I think this is only going to look smaller alongside of some of the Cold Steel knives, some of their humongous knives. Let me close up the 8015 while I'm thinking about it. Don't want live blades out there except the one we're looking at. So let's see how much space we can create here without, there we go, without getting off the seamless paper. This is an absolutely exquisitely designed and crafted knife. It is manufactured in Italy by Lion Steel. Fox may make these as well, I'm not sure. This one is from Lion Steel. It is of D2. It's got a beautiful moniker there on the thumb disc. Got lots of real estate on that thumb disc. You're going to need it in order to leverage it open. It is very smooth, not necessarily drop shutty, and this is Bob's knife, so I'm not going to make any adjustments. And not going to put it through any paces. I'm sure he already has, but it's in great shape. It's like a brand new knife. Knowing Bob, I'm sure he's carried it around a bit. Got a clip, not deep carry. It's folded over like a deep carry clip, but it's positioned a little lower. Might be because you need to get kind of a pinch grip on it to get it going out of your pocket. Although that is, it should be pretty smooth withdrawal from the pocket. Does have button head screws, not recessed. You got a high enough clip there that it doesn't really make a difference. Lanyard hole, we're just going to go across some of the usual observations here. All titanium on one side, and wow, what a sound that makes. G10, black G10, heavily textured, somewhat reminiscent of Emerson knives. Not quite as aggressive as that, but definitely aggressive. Great jimping here, and what Bastien Cove does on just about all of his designs is give you plenty of jimping, sometimes all the way around the handle, and there you'll see some jimping on or near the pommel. So no matter how you're holding this knife, point down or point up, I got to get it far enough away from the camera to even show it to you. There's a beautiful edge on it. I'm not sure if that's Bob's doing or that's a factory edge. I have not asked him, but it's mirror or near mirror and extremely sharp and slicey. Of course, you've got a flat grind going from the spine all the way down this extremely wide width. And while we're talking about sizes, let's talk about some measurements. So, if we can get it all in here for the measuring session, we have an overall length of 10.5 inches, 10 3/4 inches, excuse me. If we go there, you know, like 10.7, something like that. We got a blade length right to the handle of just over 4.5, really more like 4 5/8. Got a cutting edge coming up on 4 3/4. I'm going to call it 4 3/4. And yeah, while we're at it, blade width, not thickness, but width, over 1.5 inches, like a 1.6. And a handle height, also sizable, down to that peak of the finger choil, 1.5 inches. And yet, yeah, it's heavy, but you know, for its size, 7.56 ounces. If we weigh up the Goliath, that's 7.11. So much smaller knife. Well, much smaller? It's smaller. It's a good, I'd say, 80% of the size of the Dragotac. And yet the Dragotac manages to keep its lightness through that G10 slab on one side, which is entirely G10. Let's take a peek inside. Actually, all solid G10, and we've got all solid G10 on the titanium side as well. Here's an interesting feature of the knife that I only noticed after looking at it a little bit. Rotate that and you have locked out the liner, making it a veritable fixed blade. That ain't going nowhere. Turn it back and you can release the locking bar. It's a very tall knife in that position. Closed, we're talking 2 1/4 inches. Hefty in size, if not entirely over the top in weight. I mean, I've got some folders that are 8 ounces, 9 ounces. Let's take a look at the blade stock in millimeters. 5 millimeters, we're going to call it. Definitely worthy of the size of the blade. Keeps flipping around there. Let's try it here. Five millimeters. Handle thickness, it's not going to be bad. 0.54. Bastinelli makes some really fine blades. The design, there's so much thought that goes into it, and they are tactile, tactile too. They're tactical. They're oriented towards use, self-defense, martial blade, martial arts, Kali, what have you. And if you've seen Bastien, you know he can move a knife around. If you've seen his Instagram videos and so forth. Interesting arch to the handle. I was wondering how that was going to feel. And, you know, look, that's a 1.5-hand knife. You guys that like big blades, there you go. You can grab it halfway with the other hand and get a little extra leverage. Definitely more handle than blade. If we close it up, see if we can see the ratio. I mean, there's a little bit extra handle there. But that ratio changes the way that they set up pivots on these knives. That pivot set back just a little bit from the material you have up there. So again, you know, roughly 4.5-inch blade, and yet an overall, again, of what did I say it was? Yeah, almost 11 inches, 10 3/4. So it is a long knife. It is a thick knife with plenty of stock, and yet nice wedge there on that, what I'd call basically a clip point, right? Drop point, clip point. Puts that point right on line with the center of the handle. As I was saying, I wasn't sure I was going to like the curvature to the handle, but you know, you can back out here. Put your thumb in that swoosh there. Swoop, swoosh, what does Bob call it? One of those things. Swale? Maybe it's a swale. Anyway, it's a good place to put your thumb. And you can use this at full length. You can choke up. You can choke up a little more for your detail work. I'm sure you could pinch grip it up here as well and do some fine work. I mean, it's got a pretty fine point for a blade this size and with 5mm blade stock. What else can we say? It is just a super impressive knife. Lion Steel did a super job in the execution. Of course, Bastinelli did a great design job. It's roughly a $350 knife, so some of you are going to balk at the fact that it's only a D2. And of course, this goes back a ways, a few years. See that Bastinelli now is starting to get into using M390 quite a bit in his fixed blades. And I have seen a version of this out there. Goes by another name. It is a Bastinelli knife, a Bastinelli branded knife that they have done in L-Max with a very cool, I think, carbon fiber-ish handle for, again, about $350. So if you want the large knife to impress, this is definitely the one. When you get it in your hand, you will know that. Not sure where they're available. Haven't seen that they are, but you can try, of course, Blade HQ, Knife Center, White Mountain. White Mountain carries a few of the Bastinelli models. At any rate, hope you enjoyed this review. Give it a like if you have, and don't forget to subscribe. And go check out Bob Demarco's channel if you will, if you haven't already, and I'm sure you probably have. The Knife Junkie does a Thursday night podcast, does interviews and podcasts with knife makers. He did one with me, little old me. Check that out as well. Thanks again, Bob. Really appreciate the loan. It's a beautiful, beautiful knife. I'm overly impressed, and doesn't happen too often. Have a good one.